Are the 49ers cooked? I mean,
Listen,
again, there's no way to say it, Hunter. I mean, are you buying or selling before I get into my points?
I would say, like when you have like a chicken breast or like a piece of steak and you throw it on the oil and it starts sizzling. It's not done yet, but it is beginning to cook. And personally, I want to buy. Just I gotta wait till it's done, right? Like I can't count them out until I see that it's cooked through.
No, you know what? I love the analogy. I'm a big analogy guy. I'm a big fan of that one there, Hunter. So look, let me get into my points here. Let me see if I can, not only convince you maybe that it might be fully cooked, but kind of just convince 49ers fans here. Because I will admit, look, I'm with you regardless, though. I'm not ready to sit here and say with certainty that the Niners are cooked. We know the pedigree of the Niners, this, that, and the third. We've gone on this tangent plenty of times. You listen to the show, so I don't want to sound like a broken record. What I will do is get into my reasons why I do think that it is actually a very real possibility this year, though, that the Niners are, in fact, cooked. Look, start off with the obvious. Again, I always like to get this out of the way first. We have wins this year versus the Jets, Patriots, and a very banged up and injured Seahawks team. So, very just straightforward. That's not a very good sample size in the slightest. In fact, I would say it's an incredibly concerning sample size. Losses to the Vikings, Rams, Cardinals, and Chiefs. And if we're looking at that from just the standpoint of who's the good teams in that pile, well, realistically, the only really good teams, and yeah, you know what? The Cardinals are on any given Sunday potentially trending towards being middle of the pack type of team. So the Cardinals, too, okay, we'll even throw the Cardinals in there. But losing against the decimated Rams team, and basically you'd say three good.
But they're division rivals. Like that does like I don't give a fuck if they're middle of the pack. This is a division rival that you are superior to in every aspect.
No, literally, that's the problem. Literally every aspect from a roster standpoint. There's just no debating it if you understand how the way the Rams were built this year. But anyways, out of the second point here, Hunter, look, the team is dealing with an atrocious injury situation. I don't want to go into every single one because I'd be sitting here for about 3-4 minutes. But let's just, on top of everything they're already dealing with, look, Ayuk done for the season, torn ACL, MCL. Niners fans, I'm sorry, that's tragic. That's not what anyone wants to hear. It's terrible. But on top of that, Debo hospitalized with an unknown timetable to return for pneumonia in the
This is
lungs.
crazy, dude.
Like, it's not funny in the slightest. It's actually
It's
like
not
what
funny.
it's
It's
just
just
so
like,
unpredictable that
what
I
the
don't know what
hell
to
is
say.
going on with the Niners?
No, like, that truly is like, yo, prayers for both them. You know what I mean? But to the point of that is it's going to negatively affect the Niners regardless of how fast they get back at this point. And we know Ayuk's out for the season. Debo, that could be a significant timetable. It could be a week or two. Who knows? But you're missing him for at least a week, likely. So yeah, we're already in a really terrible situation with the receiving core, and in other areas again too. The Niners understand they're not fully healthy. It's a rough situation. Look, Brock Purdy playing shaky to say the least right now. Yeah, 1,841 passing yards, which is third in the league. So he's efficient moving the ball. But then when it comes time to get that thing in the end zone, Hunter, 9 touchdowns, tied 11th, but then 7 interceptions, tied second worst in the league. So we barely have a positive margin from touchdowns to turnovers for a guy who's very likely going to be soon one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, which is a whole nother side tangent of the fact that soon the Niners are going to be further down into cap. I hate using cap hell, but in a really tight cap space situation. Look, the offense, and this is where things get concerning, but then we're going to address the elephant in the room. Don't worry, Niners fans. Look, because the stats don't sound bad. 404.3 yards per game, third in the league. 16 offensive touchdowns, tied 12th in the league. 254.4 passing yards a game, fourth in the league. 149.9 rushing yards per game, seventh in the league. 3.10 seconds to throw, which is second in the league. And Brock Purdy has a lot of time back there. 94 QB pressures allowed, tied seventh in the league. So yeah, you're allowing some pressure on Purdy, but again, it's not the end of the world. He has plenty of time to throw. It's much more positive than it is negative. Look, and then QB rate allowed 37.2, which is tied seventh. So yeah, the pressures and pressures allowed are maybe the only area of concern on offense. But outside of that, this is a good offense, and they're producing minus the red zone per se. At least how well he should be producing the red zone. We move over to the defense. The defense is concerning, but still far from the end of the world, right? Like 318 yards per game allowed, which is 19th in the league. 17, but again, that's so you're in the bottom half of yards allowed. Like you're not in a bad spot. That still is not, it's really not that bad. 17 touchdowns allowed, tied 10th in the league, 112.9 rushing yards per game, 21st in the league. And then opponent's time to throw is 2.78 seconds, which is right there 16th. You're right at the 50% margin. So, right, it's not good, it's not bad. You're just kind of in between as far as that's concerned. And then 90 QB pressures, which is tied 8th. So they still get to the quarterback. We know that's what the Niners do. That's no surprise there. So, like I said, to get to the elephant in the room, and I appreciate you, Hunter. I got these points from you. I don't know where you got these points from, so I can't cite my source other than you're my source on this one. But look, the stats don't sound that bad, but Kyle Shanahan.
The fraudy Niners, dude.
Look, regular season or playoffs when leading 10 points or more in the fourth quarter. 5 losses in those games. And then,
which is second most in the NFL since he was hired in 2017.
Yeah, that's not even the worst one. Oh, it gets far worse when you hear this one because look.
Now I don't know. I want to preface this. I don't know how current this stat is. He may have a win.
Okay, well, okay. So this was recent though. This was recent, and to that point, I don't know. I really don't know if he does have one. Yeah. I'm trying to think in my head, and I'm like, I don't think much has changed since we first heard about stats. I know with this stat was like a thing around last year. Yeah. I don't think there's been any instances where this would have changed. If anything, it's gotten worse. I would be pretty confident. I'm not even kidding when I say that. We've seen the 49ers go on a choke spree this year. It actually might be worse than this currently, to your point. But as this was last updated, Shanny 0-38 when trailing by 8+ in the fourth quarter since 2018. Every other team has at least one win in that span. I mean, I'm laughing. I feel bad, Niners fans. That is actually laughably bad. Like, that's actually, like, even if you're a Niners fan, you just have to have a chuckle at how bad that is. I mean, that is to the point of being abhorrent. That is like, there's no explanation for that. You can't possibly come to the podium and be like, yeah, well, there's an explanation for the fact that I can't ever come back and my offense has no means of coming back. That's the bottom line, Hunter. I'm going to let you take the floor from here because I know you have some strong feelings about the subject. So, lay it on me and the Niners fans. What are you thinking here?
Okay, so let me lay it out like this. For years, we've been doing the podcast for a couple years now, and here's my thing. I think you can be a very, very, very good coach. I think you can be a very, very, very good team. But the reality is, people only remember you when you win Super Bowls. You can win NFC championships. You can win AFC championships. Okay. When they talk about the Bills, who went for 4 straight Super Bowls, what do they talk about? They don't talk about they have 4 AFC championships. They talk about how they lost 4 Super Bowls in a row. The reality is, if you don't get it done, you're not talked about or remembered the same as everyone else. And everyone talks about Shanahan like he is one of the best play callers in the league. Yes, he is very, very good at his job. But I can think of at least 3 other play callers I would have more than him. Reed easily, McVay easily. You could argue LaFleur. That one is probably going to be not a hot take, but I could see people more on the fence with that one. I think LaFleur has done way more with less. And the reality is, Shanahan has one of the most talented rosters in the NFL for the last couple years. And let's not forget the string of defensive coaches that he has had. Okay, so let me get this straight. Last year, I was told, oh, well, once Steve Wilkes is out of there, the defense will be fine. Nick Sorensen's there, and, it might be a little bit better, but it's not great. It's not what it was. And the reality is, you have to be able to get it done. When they traded all those picks for Trey Lance, and now they have Brock Purdy, okay? Well, Brock Purdy is basically just a robot. It's Kyle Shanahan's mind in the quarterback body, right? But the reality is, when they played the Chiefs, they both had receivers that couldn't beat man coverage. One coach schemed the other guys open, and one did not. Purdy has been struggling. In the red zone, they are bad. The reality is, the 49ers are going to get very expensive sooner than later.
I mean,
they are expensive. You're going to have to pay Purdy. Trent Williams is getting older. Greenlaw's coming off an ACL. Fred Warner's still playing at a very, very high level, but he's also getting older. Ayuk tore his ACL and MCL. You're paying him. Instead of working on the O-line in the first round, you go draft Ricky Pearsall, which I guess in hindsight looks good, but at the end of the day, you've been able to turn some of these guys like Jawan Jennings into great receivers, so I don't know why you don't invest in the trenches. CMC, he's old, he's still great, but both his legs are blown out. Like, I don't know. Like, he's supposed to be coming back, but you have to get it done, like, within this year or next year. But that's the thing, is we keep saying that.
We're being generous even at this point with the next year thing, Hunter. I think we're being, it's like we're being, like, yes, but I feel like we're just being, it really does feel like this year, because everyone always keeps pushing like Trent.
Oh, we have one more year, yeah.
It's like, how much longer is Trent really going to just stick around for the same result? Trent is old. If Trent wasn't the all-world legendary, one of the greatest tackles of all time, he would have been out the door years ago, and I wouldn't have blamed him. I'm shocked that he's still in the league playing at the level he is. It's amazing. This is
not to spew like my dislike of like what the 49ers, like how they operate and everything like that. And I do think that like they lucked into Brock Purdy being the last pick of the draft, because if they did not find a quarterback to replace Trey Lance, oh, well, they would have got Kirk, or they would have. No, like the reality is they lucked into that pick. And most of the time, that trade up for Trey Lance would have got the GM and the head coach fired. So my thing is, yes, whatever. That can be excused because you're winning. But if you don't get the job done, if you don't win the Super Bowl, none of that fucking matters. None of it matters. And my thing is, I've been told, oh, the 49ers are the best team in football. I would hope. They have all pros all over the field. I would really hope they are the best team in football. They have all pros everywhere. Like, so I guess my thing is just, I think the 49ers are cooked, and I've personally been on the train for a while that they are getting expensive, and they're not going to be, if they don't get it done sooner rather than later, then this talk about, oh, we're the best team in football for the last X amount of years doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, yes, the 49ers, in my opinion, are starting to become cooked. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, once they get over this injury bug and more people are back later in the year, they will definitely play better. But I don't know if they have
still be a playoff team.
Yeah, they will be a playoff team. I think they still win the West. But I don't know if they have the horses to go all the way this year.
Well, that's the thing, is this is more a discussion on not just the present, but like the future. Like, are they going to win the Super Bowl this year? And then does the future look as bright as it's been over the last however many years? Hunter, it looking like, unfortunately, very likely not. And again, I'm very firm on the train that this is very likely Trent's last hurrah. It just from statistical, from an understanding of how long O-linemen play. Yeah, you know what? Could he be Whitworth 2.0? Possibly. But I just think that if you're Trent, you got to be saying to yourself, man, oh man, it's got to be getting close to the last ride. And I don't know how you push it past this year. And if he does, just more credit to him. He's one of the greatest O-linemen of all time. We're never going to take that away from him. Whether he wins a Super Bowl or not, let it be crystal clear. But that's kind of my thing, is I think this offense hinges so heavily on Trent being there that if you're a Niners fan, you think that it's like, oh, we're just going to replace Trent and like we're going to be right back to the same type of.
That's the mindset they have with the defensive coordinators. It doesn't work like that. Eventually, the line runs out. I mean, here's my thing. I think Trent will be back next year because he did sign that extension, but I don't know. There's no way he goes past 26. But that's still close.
And that would be even. I mean, again, to that point though, Hunter, we have seen like a lot of times where guys will sign, and if it's whatever's not guaranteed, if they're like, okay, I'm out, like, and they can just retire and they're out, and nobody's on a hinge to owe him, and then he doesn't owe them. I can see it happening. But to your point, look, with the extension, it is fully possible. And if there's one guy that's going to do it, it will be Trent. But irregardless, he's getting older, no matter what.
Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been You Don't Know Ball. If you don't know ball, want to know ball, be sure to subscribe, leave a like, let us know in the comments if you think the 49ers are cooked.